which is nothing, absolutely nothing like it is in Dallas, Texas, which is where we catch up with Brenda Siri this morning. Brenda, good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Todd.
It's good to have you with us here today. We're going to talk about employment and a particularly interesting phenomenon to me with Brenda this morning. Our visit presented by Marcus & Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Now, Brenda has a great background. She is affiliated with a company that is in the hiring business, in the personnel business, but she's also an adjunct professor at a university in the Dallas area. And so she brings a lot of experience to this conversation. And Brenda, we're talking this morning about, kids work so hard in school and they get their papers. They come out with their degrees, whatever that degree might be in, and they figure they're all set up to enter a promising career. They're not finding jobs. Why are companies so reluctant to hire folks of a certain age, Brenda?
I think it begins with an absolute fear in hiring managers. If they get a resume of someone who's recently graduated from college and their work experiences, maybe they've worked in retail, they've worked in a restaurant, but they have no applicable real business experience, right? And so there's a fear that they may not be as organized or able to handle pressure because they don't have that relevant work experience. And that work experience comes during the time they are getting their degree in the form of internships. And if students who are getting a college degree are not doing everything they can when they have school breaks to get internships within the type of business that they would like to work in when they graduate, they're really doing themselves a disservice.
It's interesting that you say that, because I was thinking that internships probably have more value today than ever before. People want people who've done the job before. It doesn't matter what the paper says.
Right, exactly. And because what they're gaining during those internships is, learning how to collaborate with team members. They do have team assignments in school, but it's different on a business level, right? Because they're not just dealing with peers in school that are maybe in the same age group. You go into a business and you're put on a team, you could be dealing with people who've been working professionally for 10 or 20 years, which is going to look a lot different than team activities in school.
We've heard recently as well that internships, more companies are offering paid internships than ever before. That's true?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Paid internships are much more the norm today than unpaid internships. So I see that a lot. You do also have companies who right now are taking away internships, which I struggle with myself, because they're really cheating themselves out of an opportunity to pay someone a much lower amount of money than they're paying other members in the company to feel them out, to see if they'd like to have them back on a permanent basis when they graduate.
Yeah, absolutely. It just makes perfect sense. But even if you can't get an internship with a company, somewhere in your field, there have to be entry-level jobs, even if they're not specifically what you're training for, just to get the proverbial foot in the door, or at least to get experience with that company or within that industry, correct?
It's true, but I think where we're struggling and what we see with Gen Z today is they don't want those jobs. They want to go in and have the job they went to college for. And so I do see situations where students are like, no, I feel I deserve something better. There's a little bit of entitlement there. So, I think it falls to students to be a little more open and accepting to getting a foot in the door, like we all felt was the right thing to do years ago ourselves.
Brenda is the president and CEO of Corporate Connections. She has more than 20 years of industry experience in talent acquisition. I'm assuming that when you are working with young people and trying to put them in the best position for a job, that you're telling them these things, but the message sometimes doesn't get through?
It's true. It's true. I will say that for myself, as I interview them, and for hiring managers, there are really great behavioral questions that you can ask them that could settle some of those concerns. Obviously one of the first ones is talking to them about previous internships and how they might have helped them prepare. for the role that they're trying to get. I think that a lot of hiring managers are concerned that Gen Z can't handle constructive criticism, that they don't know how to manage, or juggle a workload. And so you can ask questions that will get you those answers from, those recent graduates who are coming into the workforce and see if they can answer them appropriately. That could help you change your mind about going forward and hiring someone who's a recent college graduate.
So I would assume as well then that counseling them about unrealistic expectations of the job market and of where they are as a startup employee, sometimes that bounces off of them without any effect as well.
Absolutely. I will tell you, my students, I teach master's degree students, and they are probably at a greater advantage than the undergraduate students who are just coming out with a bachelor's degree because they've had more time to have internships and have some experience. And I do actually have a few students who went right from an undergraduate degree into a graduate degree. And I always encourage them, go get internships and, work on getting professional skills that will help translate into an entry-level job when it's time to get a full-time job. So I do see a little bit more maturity at that level and more of a willingness to do what is necessary to get a full-time job than I do an undergraduate degree student. So parents, encourage your children to get internships, encourage them to do what it takes to be ready to join the workforce after they get that degree.
Yeah, it really is a competitive market too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
probably
absolutely.
much more than ever before, would you say?
I would say, and I think part of that is, AI. AI is huge now, and so STEM students are getting those technical degrees. There are so many students getting degrees in technology and in data analytics and in generative AI that it is a really, really competitive market.
Well, that being the case, are students at the university level, are they seeking the right kind of degree, or is it more based upon degrees in fields where there's a lot of opportunity?
I think it's a mix of both. I think that you do have some students who are like, I just want to go do the latest, greatest thing, and I want to make the most money I can. And other students who are like, you know what, no, I love math. I want to be a finance major. So it's a little bit of both, probably, too, just some of what they learned in high school. Here in the Dallas area, our schools offer a lot of training to help students when they come out to work towards college degrees, right? We have a lot of programs in medical, in skilled trades, and so I think that schools that offer those types of classes for even the high school level can be really beneficial to students as they come out and go to college, because let's face it, who at 18 years old knows for sure what they want to be doing when they're 45 years old, right?
Yeah, you're right about that. It's interesting as well the way that the conversation has gone here this morning, because our local university here, Indiana University of Pennsylvania, has sort of looked around at where the job market is in Western Pennsylvania and has said to itself, there is a place here for us to begin training medical fields. And so there's the new College of Osteopathic Medicine that is going to be getting going. There are some real inroads in educational offerings that are really, really heavily leaning toward the medical field, because that's perceived as a need here in Western Pennsylvania. Colleges have to adapt as well, don't they?
They do. They need to be very forward-thinking, looking at, what are the greatest industries in that area. I can tell you that, the medical field, the bio field out in California, in San Diego, is huge. Pharmaceutical, huge. It's not as big in Dallas. So, you're going to see medical training, and there are wonderful medical facilities here, but any market like your market where there is education opportunity that's lacking in those schools, be looking at what's needed in your area so that you can offer that to students and really increase the workforce in your area.
She is the president and CEO of Corporate Connections. Tell me about your company. What's it do?
So we are a human resources consulting firm, but we also do talent acquisition, which means we work with clients to help them fill open roles. We work very hard to make sure that we never place anyone in front of our clients who haven't been fully vetted so that we know they are the right fit for our clients. And we never recycle candidates. Every search is a fresh search so that we're making sure we find the best people specific for the company and their opportunity.
Company is called Corporate Connections. Now, how many times do people say to you, let's just ask Siri, meaning you? You know you get that.
Yeah.
And you knew I was going to ask you that, didn't you?
Of course. And I get asked all the time. When it first came out, my husband and I looked at each other and said, wow, too bad our last name wasn't copyrighted, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if Brenda copyrighted would be as good. I'm just kidding.
Probably not. Probably not.
Brenda Siri, thank you so much for visiting with us. People want to learn more about you. What should they do?
They can go to my website, which is www.corporateconnectionsllc.com. They can find me on LinkedIn at Brenda-Siri. So happy to speak with anyone with questions or need some advice for their career. Please feel free to reach out to me.
There you go. Thank you so much for spending some time with us this morning. I appreciate that.
You bet, Todd. Thank you for your time.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.